Hello, fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the true history of planet Earth and why it is being deleted. Who really created the 3D matrix and why. And like me, you are not at all what you appear to be. Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are going to be doing a live interdimensional meditation in just a few hours, but I thought I would upload a video because I think it's very important that people start with the proper basis understanding of what this universe is. Now, what I'm going to share with you today, nobody taught me. I did not read it in a book. I did not read it in a scripture. What I'm going to share with you is a direct result of personal experience as a result of being transformed into a multidimensional being over the past 2 years. This is a result of me traversing into other dimensions and being able to come back in the third dimension. It is my belief that up until now, three-dimensional humans have not been allowed to travel to the places that I have gone and been able to come back. It's not that human souls can't go to these places, they can. It's just that you can't do that and then come back into your 3D body. If you go to those places and you want to come back to 3D, you have to start all over again. You have to be reincarnated as another person and you have to forget. Because if you understand this message, if you know this, if you have this knowledge, then the 3D matrix cannot hold you. It cannot control you. And so, as I said, I believe this is the first time in history that anybody has been able to go to these places and learn and remember these truths about Earth, about the third dimension, and about who we are. The people who come to Earth and incarnate, I don't think it's possible for somebody to remember who they are and be allowed to come back until now. I think I am among the first. I'm not the only one, but I don't think it's happened in history before now. And if you follow my channel and if you do the practices that I teach and if you do these interdimensional meditations that I'm guiding you on, you will have the same experience. And let me be clear, I am not seeking to become a guru. I'm not seeking to be a prophet or any of that. My goal is to give you access to the same things I have been experiencing. I don't want you to take my word for anything. Everything I'm going to tell you today, I am not expecting you to simply accept and believe. I am challenging you to listen to what I have to say, and then you do the same things that I am doing, and you find out for yourself. And I'm willing to bet that at the very least, the majority of the things that I'm telling you, you will prove through your own personal experience that what I'm saying is the truth. So we are going to again be talking about what is the true history of planet Earth, why it is being deleted, who really created the matrix, and why. Before we get into that, I do want to remind you how you can best interact with this channel. So if you're new to the channel, I would like for you to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button. Do the live interdimensional meditations as often as possible. We have one coming up in just a few hours today. Follow and like Path of the Thunder Wizard on Facebook. Share Thunder Wizard YouTube video links and Facebook posts on your social media. Subscribe to the thunderwizard.com Patreon site. That is different from the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. I, of course, want you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, but the Patreon site is thunderwizard.com, and I would like for you to subscribe there. There are multiple subscription options. Don't become a free subscriber. That won't get you anything. And if you want to get the benefits of it, start at whatever level you're most interested in. Take a look at them before you decide. And browse the thunderwizard.com shop for the advanced practices. If you go to thunderwizard.com, you will see the shop there. You see that, you click on shop, and you'll see a bunch of videos and a bunch of courses that, especially the energy practices, you can see available there. The most powerful things that have ever been revealed publicly to the human race. You can go and find them there at the shop. These are the ways to support this channel, and please remember that I do need your support to keep this channel going. If a particular video strikes you, you can click on the $ button and contribute right there to the video as a thanks, or on the live streams you can contribute right there in real time. Without you, I won't be able to keep doing this, so I do need you, if you are getting anything out of this, to support the channel. All right, back to the true history of planet Earth and why it is being deleted. So let me introduce that by giving you some assumptions. Now, if you're at all interested in critical thinking, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information so that you can know what the truth is. Vast majority of people are not able to do that, which is why the dark forces are able to control so many people. Because if people do not have actual critical thinking and somebody wants to control them, they most likely will. So critical thinking is the ability to hear information and then to find out whether or not what information you're hearing is the truth. And so I believe that it's very important that you do that. Now, in order to be a critical thinker, the first thing you must do is analyze your base assumptions. For example, I used to be a born-again Christian many years ago when I was a young man. And whenever Christians would go and try and convert somebody, what they first do is they try to indoctrinate you into having certain assumptions. And once they can get you to accept those assumptions, then they can very easily convert you, because your assumptions will dictate your thoughts and your conclusions afterwards. So for instance, we would knock on the door and we would have this little booklet that was called the 4 Spiritual Laws. And that booklet started with an assumption. And that assumption is that you are separated from God. Now, that is a very easy assumption to accept, because most people feel separated. Most people feel as though God has abandoned them, rejected them. So all somebody has to do is appeal to that feeling by giving them the assumption, you are separate from God. Once you accept that assumption, then the next logical assumption they give you is that Jesus died for your sins. He is the only way to accept and be accepted by God. Now, even if you don't like that concept, emotionally you are primed for it, and if you accept those assumptions, then it's very easy to stack one belief on top of the other. However, if you don't buy into that assumption, in fact, it's been a while, but when I left Christianity and Christians would come and try and do this, and they would start with the assumption that you are separate from God, I would say, I don't believe that. And then they would have no place to go. I would say, that's not my experience, that's not what I believe, and I reject that assumption. So anything else you have to say won't land on me, because I don't agree with you about that. We have to be in agreement about the assumption of the universe before we can start going forward about what is true and what isn't. And so it's very important that you have the base assumptions of what this reality is. I'm going to be giving you assumptions. You can choose to accept them. I want you to know that I am putting forth base assumptions about the universe. And I want you to know that you have the power to choose to accept or reject that. But here's what happens when you have an incorrect assumption. If you have an incorrect assumption, then that means that every conclusion you make after that, at best, is going to be at least partially incorrect, if not completely outright false. which is why, people did a lot of things, over the past few years, because they bought into base assumptions. They were told, this is happening, you need this. And so once people bought into that, then their actions followed through, and now we're finding out that those actions turned out to be inaccurate, incorrect, all the things that were opposite of what we were told. So the same is true about understanding about this reality. So I'm going to tell you once again, I'm going to give you assumptions, my assumptions based on my experiences, not my beliefs, not what I've read, not what I've researched, not what somebody else has told me. I only teach what I myself have personally verified through my experience. You can accept or reject it, and in fact, you should look and listen to what I say and test it out yourself before you choose to accept it. The true history of planet Earth and why it is being deleted. I'm here to tell you that what I've discovered about the truth of planet Earth, how it was created, why it was created, the purpose, has never been taught. I have never heard it. I've heard partial truth about it, but the actual truth that I have, as somebody pointed out to me, said, what you're teaching flips everything completely on its head. And that is my experience as well, which is why I say that we live in a bizarro upside down world, because it is. Everything that you experience in the third dimension and all of the conclusions that you make as a result of your third dimensional experience are all almost universally, completely 100% flipped upside down and backwards. So I'm going to be sharing with you what those things are. So before we get into this list of things we've already looked at before, I am going to share with you some important truths. So every religion is a variation on the same theme. Now, religion, even though you and I didn't realize this when we were exposed to these religions, and the earth didn't realize this when it was exposed to religions over the, previous thousands of years. The theme is always the same. And the theme is that human beings were created and placed on this planet, and that human beings are limited beings that have limited power, and that they are at the mercy of beings that are more powerful in spiritual realms. So just to give you an example, Christianity. According to Christianity, God, this not just more powerful, but this all-powerful being, created humans and put them on Earth. So if this being hadn't decided to create humans, humans wouldn't exist. That is an assumption. Most people believe that without even realizing consciously that that's what they believe. But that is an assumption. Of course, I'm going to tell you that's incorrect. But again, sticking with the Abrahamic religion. So it's not just Christianity, it's Judaism and Islam, and they all teach the same assumption, which is that human beings were created by this all-powerful being called Jehovah, Allah, whatever. Same thing. And that these beings were then have to fight between listening to this all evil, also omnipotent, powerful force called the devil. And so you have this fight between this all-powerful creator God and this all-powerful destroying devil. Even though Christians will say that God is more powerful than Satan, the truth is when you analyze it, they believe it's a duality. They believe that Satan and God are pretty much fighting for the same supremacy. And in this Abrahamic tradition, humans are ruled by these things called fallen angels. So in this understanding, there are these false beings of light, these beings of light who, for whatever reason, became trapped in ego and sin and pride, and they fell to earth. And these fallen angels are actually lording over the earth and lording over humans. Well, that is very similar to the Gnostic version, which is extremely popular right now, which has morphed into the belief that people have about living in a matrix and believing in archons. All of this comes from Gnosticism, which is actually came about just before actual, Catholic Christianity, which turned into, Protestant Christianity. So in the Gnostic belief, there is the same thing. There's this demiurge, which is sort of a mixture between Jehovah and Satan. So this demiurge seeks to control, again, little tiny powerless humans on earth. And there are these archons. These archons are false beings of light, again, more powerful than humans, and they have the ability to keep humans controlled in the third dimension. So that's almost identical to the Abrahamic tradition, which says that there's God and Satan, and that humans are ruled over by these evil fallen beings of light called angels or the Watchers. And then in Gnosticism, we have the demiurge, and we have archons, who are false beings of light who trap humans on a three-dimensional earth. And then the newest evolution of this is people's belief in the Anunnaki. Now, I'm not going to go into a long diatribe. At some point I will, but I'm here to tell you that the Anunnaki are not what you've been told. But let's analyze what people believe the Anunnaki are. People believe that the Anunnaki are powerful extraterrestrial beings who have powerful, energetic, spiritual, magical, and technical prowess, and that they came to Earth. And when they came to Earth, they sought to create a slave race. So they took primitive humans and did experimentation on them and turned them into modern day Homo sapiens that they could use as a slave race. Now, all of these have the same theme. Whether you believe in the Abrahamic tradition, where there's God creating tiny humans, lording over them, and then there's false beings of light, fallen angels who we have to worry about, and the devil, who's a fallen angel as well. Or if you want to go the Gnostic route, which is what most people are doing when they talk about escaping the matrix, and you believe that there's this demiurge, which is like God, and he's controlling and keeping humans trapped, and there are these archons, these false beings of light, who are more powerful than humans, and they're keeping humans, forcing them to reincarnate. And then the modern version, Anunnakis, but it's a more modern version. It's extraterrestrials with powerful technology and powerful magic who created humans, again, similar to the Bible. This is why, for the first time in history, when I was a kid in the 70s, the belief in Anunnakis would have been blasphemy. But nowadays you have born-again Christians who mix all this together. They believe in Anunnakis and they equate them with the devil. They equate them with false beings of light. They equate archons with fallen angels. And so there's this mishmash of stuff. And it makes sense because it's all the same theme. And the same theme is the basic assumption which you have been given, which is also reflected in your experience of feeling small, out of control, abused, and isolated. And so the belief is that you are a created, isolated being, and you are being toyed with. You are being used and controlled, and you don't have the power to escape this evil world. So I'm here to tell you that is partially true. So I want you to know that even though I'm going to be changing some of the assumptions about this, the truth is that your feelings are accurate. Your feelings that you have been placed on this planet, that is an accurate feeling. Who put you there, that's a whole other subject we'll get into. But you have been technically placed on this planet. You experience yourself as not having any control over your reality or your destiny. You experience being in a very hostile environment where you have to fight for your survival. And your experience and your intuition and your feeling is that there are very powerful beings who are controlling every aspect of your reality, and they are using you as tools for their own nourishment, their own pleasure, their own empowerment. And whether you see that as, like the Matrix being used as a battery for, mindless machines, or whether you see that as being a creature that has been created in a lab by highly powerful extraterrestrial beings so that you can serve them. However you feel it, however you've decided to, to flesh out the belief on that, the feelings are accurate. So let me give you the base assumption about that which is true. Now, I'm also telling you that these beliefs are conflated. Conflation means you have partial truth and partial falsehood, and when you mix it together, it ends up being completely false, even though there's elements of truth in it. And this is one of the things that narcissists use to gaslight you. Because what they will do is they will focus on the part of it that's true. And they'll say things like, you believe that this part is true, right? Well, yeah. Well, then how can you say any of it is false? Because you just admitted that this little part here is true, right? Like if I wanted to say that there was such a thing as hell and sin and God throwing people into hell for being evil, and I wanted to promote that belief, even though you were coming to another conclusion, I would say, well, you know that there are evil people in the world that do evil things. And you would say, yeah. So then how can you deny the rest of it? That's obvious. And then you just harp on one aspect of it. This is the danger of conflation. So these are conflated beliefs. There's truth in there. There's truth of the essence of the experience of the feelings that you have. And then there's a bunch of falsehoods that are mixed in there, which makes the whole thing false. So, the part of it that is true that I want you to hold on to is that you have been placed here on this earth. This earth is, in fact, a matrix. It is a third-dimensional, limited matrix that you cannot escape in your normal third-dimensional consciousness. It is true that there are forces and beings who are using all kinds of technology and all kinds of magic and all kinds of mind control to keep you trapped and to use you as food for them psychologically, emotionally, and otherwise. Those feelings are true. The specifics behind it, nobody has been taught. What I have found out, you can't find anywhere. And these beliefs, especially the reason why people have taken such a strong connection to the idea of Anunnakis, even though if you explain to them, like if I were to show you, here's the actual Sumerian mythology, and here's the modern belief of Anunnakis, and here's how they are completely divergent. People have taken some of the aspects of Sumerian mythology and then hyperbolized it, changed it, added things, mutated things, and then created this ancient alien coming to Earth, making humans out of monkeys. But the truth is that that is not what the Sumerian mythology teaches, and Anunnakis are not any of those things. Now, before you get all upset and say, but I've seen the Sumerian text, no, you haven't. You've seen people who are not qualified in actual Sumerian who have claimed that they have translated Sumerian text, and then they give you their false translations, and you think you're seeing the actual text. You're not. You're seeing mistranslated text of Sumerian mythology. Sumerian mythology is really no different than any other mythology in the world, whether it be Greek, Roman, Vedic. It's all pretty much the same. So I'm here to tell you something. The Anunnaki, let's just go with the Anunnaki, the idea that Anunnaki are powerful extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth and created this matrix wherein humans are trapped. I'm here to tell you, generally speaking, that is true. However, what I'm about to tell you, I hope, if you can hear it, will completely blow the lid off of not only this belief, but will give you tremendous power. If you can hear what I'm about to tell you, and if you can integrate it, if you can accept it, if you can let go of your victim mentality, which serves you because it helps you justify the feelings that you have, rightfully so. You're controlled, you're in a matrix, other beings are controlling you, you don't remember coming here, you feel helpless and powerless. All of those feelings are accurate based on your experience, and so you want to believe in Anunnakis because it actually justifies the way that you feel. But I'm here to tell you that the whole idea of Anunnakis is accurate, but who are the Anunnakis? And if you're ready, drum roll, here it comes. The Anunnakis are you. That's right. You are the extraterrestrial beings who came here, who had tremendous powers, and you used your tremendous powers, your divine, godlike powers. You used them to create the 3D matrix that you are now trapped in. Not only that, you created the third dimensional matrix called Earth, and you designed it so that any conscious being that goes into that program, that goes into that video game, you designed it that any conscious being that chooses to go in there will become deceived, will become blinded and trapped in that third dimensional matrix. And then after designing it that way, you then chose to go into it, knowing that you would forget that you were the extraterrestrial being that created this three-dimensional matrix. And you went in knowing that there was a possibility that you would get trapped. Now the good news is you will eventually escape. Every being in the third dimension, no matter who they are, no matter how depraved they are, even the evil archons that are here, everybody will eventually awaken and escape. The question is when. So we are in, if I were to make a guess, this isn't something I'm willing to stake my life on, but my guess is there's going to be at least 3 different opportunities for human beings to escape. The first one is upon us now. We call this the Ascension, we call it the solar flash event, we call it awakening to 5D. We have multiple ways of looking at it, but it is happening right now. And so the Anunnakis, who have deceived themselves and have hypnotized themselves to come into this third dimensional matrix, believing that they are these tiny, powerless humans, this is the first opportunity for these very powerful beings to wake up and escape. But you're only escaping your own creation. So, getting back to what the true history of planet Earth is. Planet Earth was created by the most powerful beings in the multiverse. So the multiverse, there are levels of power. First, let's go all the way back to the beginning. There is a God, a creator God, but this God did not create the universe at all the way that a third dimensional mind would think. This God, which is the source of all consciousness, sought to experience consciousness, sought to experience finite conscious experiences. So this God then fractalized himself into I'm not going to say smaller versions, fractalized himself into holographic multiple versions of him, her, themselves. And this is what we would call souls. Now, souls are individual conscious beings. But when you follow that soul back to its source, you will find your way back to this one being. Now, when you see God, if you ever go and you have a near-death experience, or in shamanic travel or astral travel or whatever it is, if you go and see God, you might interpret it. You know, people do this all the time. They'll interpret it as God or Jesus or Mary or Buddha, or, you know, they interpret it in whatever filter works best for them. But at some point you go beyond that filter, and what you find is that there is this one consciousness. But when you are in this one consciousness, you also find out that every conscious being is there. So all of the individual consciousnesses as well as the one consciousness is there. And you can choose, when you're in that, you can choose to become everything and nothing, or you can choose to experience your individuated consciousness. It's completely up to you. But the further away that this light of consciousness escapes from the one God, the more individuated it becomes. And so you are an individuated ray of light coming from this one consciousness, and it has made its way all the way to the outer fringes, which is the third dimension. We are in the outer part of the multiverse. You can't go much further beyond. You can go a little bit further. You can go down to second dimension and, you know, places like that, and get even more separated. But you can't go much farther than the third dimension. So that is what God is. You are one of these individuated individuated holographic rays of the one God. And these individual holographic individuated rays of the one God can then gain power through experience. It's a lot like a video game. This is why we like video games, because you gain power through experience. And so the more power that you gain as an individual, you gain more and more seeming external power. And these are what the gods are. So the gods are not just archetypes, and yet at the same time they are. But what they really are is they are holographic, fractalized, individuated consciousness, just like you, that has amassed enough awareness through experience that it has gained tremendous power. And it is a deity. So all of the deities, that's why there's a bunch of different deities. Unlike Christianity and Islam and Judaism that wants to tell you there's only one God that has an identity. No, there's countless deities, more than you can count. And this is why they're not just the characteristics. You know, they're not generalized characteristics that people place, you know, a deity name to. All of these deities are individuals, and they are no different from you. But the only difference is, through their experience, they have gained powers that allow them to shift up to higher dimensional states. So the only difference between you and the most powerful deity, Shiva, Vishnu, Odin, Thor, Zeus, Ra, Thoth, you know, whatever deity you think about, the only difference between you and them is that they have the same consciousness that you do, except they exist in a higher dimension. That's it. It's the only difference. So this is the universe. The universe is filled with these conscious beings that have different level of experience power that gives them the ability to rise to higher dimensions. And there is no judgment. There's no judgment in outside of the third dimension between somebody who's, what we would consider to be like a human type of soul and the most powerful deity. They literally look at each other with the same amount of respect. The deity looks upon the so-called smaller soul gaining experience as an incredibly brave, powerful being that is so powerful and so brave that it's seeking to go as far away in its own individual experience as it can to experience reality. And literally Shiva bows before you for doing that. And at the same time, the individuated beings outside of the third dimension see the big, huge deities and bow to them for having accomplished the awareness that they have through their experience. They see themselves in each other. We would call this true empathy, being able to be in the other person, seeing in the other person, and at the same time wanting to be who you are. The individuated so-called like human soul running around experiencing things chooses to do that. And that's what you want to do because you want to gain more experience so that you can then gain more power. And the being that's in the ninth dimension that is, acting like it is a deity, doing and working and experiencing so many things and having so much influence on so many other realms and so many beings, they're doing that because that's what gives them joy. That's what they choose to do. So the freedom in the universe is that the soul can do and be whatever it wants. You want to become a god? Great. You've probably been one before. You can continue to choose to raise yourself to higher dimensions. There's nothing stopping you whatsoever. So these are the beings who created Earth. This is why people want to believe in Anunnakis, because there's a small part of them that remembers that they came from other galaxies, from other civilizations, from other dimensions, from higher dimensions. This is why people see themselves as starseeds, because they are. This is why people see themselves as earth angels, because they are. This is why people see themselves as chosen ones, because they are. Now they also conflate their victim mentality with it, which muddies things up, and then they end up, in places that don't take them to objective reality. But the feelings are accurate. But I'm here to tell you that instead of, using it as a way to justify feeling victimized and different, why, there's no shortage of videos of why the chosen ones are ostracized and why everybody is intimidated by you. Well, that's just your own, you're fighting with your own victim mentality. Why empaths, feel more than anybody else? Well, the truth is everybody has the ability to feel as much as anybody else. So, but focus on what's positive about that, which is you are a starseed. You are a chosen one. You're not only that, you are a deity. And I know this from direct experience. I know this from direct experience working with higher dimensional beings. We're talking extraterrestrial beings in the fifth dimension who are physical beings that have spaceships and come from other planets, but also are what we would consider to be extremely powerful shamans and wizards who are able to bend the laws of reality and go to multiple places in space-time. But for them that's just normal fifth dimensional stuff. And so they seem like they're deities and they're more powerful. In the past, we would have called them angels or genies or elves. In fact, the word elf translates to being of light, the shining ones. So, my European ancestors, they would worship the elves. They were, and the elves were treated like the ancestors because they are. They are our ancestors. There are family members who happen to be in a higher dimensional reality. That's the only difference. So Anyway, so the point is that you are a deity. You are among the most powerful. These higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings, I can't speak for all of them, but many of them, and I know this because they have told me this over and over again. They say, you are more powerful than we are. You are the God. We are here to serve you. What do you want from us? How can we help you? And they have gone out of their way to convince me of this reality. And this is why we're doing, by the way, these live guided interdimensional meditations. The reason why we're doing that is because the light beings have told me that they want to bring the solar flash ascension event for humans, but they don't have the power to do it. Only incarnated humans have the power to do it, because only incarnated humans are the most powerful deities who were able to come here. There's no shortage of extraterrestrial beings who wanted to come here but weren't powerful enough, and or chose not to come here because they knew they couldn't survive the incredible difficulties of being in the third dimension. So what is the third dimension? You were among the most powerful deities in the multiverse. And we came together and we wanted even more power in our consciousness. And we knew that the way to gain power with our consciousness was to experience limited reality. So we've created multiple versions of this. And there are multiple versions all over the multiverse that have varying levels of third dimensional limitation. And among the most powerful ones, we got together and we said, we're going to create the most advanced school of consciousness, which in English we call Earth. And there was a being, an extremely powerful being, who volunteered to be the planet Earth. So the planet Earth, as you know, we call her Mother Earth, we call her Gaia. She is a goddess, incredibly powerful. And she volunteered to be the body upon which we would incarnate and experience reality. So she chose to do that. She was part of this. So there was a bunch of very powerful deities, I don't know how many, that got together and decided to create a new limited reality wherein souls from all over the multiverse could come and incarnate and put themselves in a pressure cooker of consciousness experience. And they would have to choose to forget. So they chose to forget so that when they got here, the choices that they made would be absolutely authentic. Because if you knew, people ask us all the time, well, why aren't we allowed to know our past? And I didn't really know what the answer was up until recently. And I know the reason is because if you play video games and you have all of the tricks and you have all of the hacks and, then you're going to go right to that. You're not going to learn how to play the video game through experience. You're going to cheat. So we take the cheats away. And that is your awareness of who you are. And specifically the awareness that you have the ability to intend anything and create anything through your intention and with your focus. So if you knew that, you would do it. You would just simply intend your reality, and you wouldn't learn anything, and it wouldn't mean anything. You wouldn't grow. So you have to come here as a little child, as an infant that is completely without knowledge, without any memory, and you start from scratch and you learn how to walk and you learn how to think and you learn how to talk and you learn how to interact. And under the challenge of your karma, your chosen challenges, all of your challenges are chosen, under the pressure cooker of all the very difficult challenges you've chosen, you make choices, and your choices will be authentic. They won't be forced, they won't be cheated, They will be authentic choices. And what ends up happening is when you go through enough challenges, you eventually have no choice but to find your soul and operate from your soul. This is why you incarnate hundreds or thousands of times, because you need a lifetime to realize that, oh, I can't do it through power, trying to control people. That doesn't work. This is why there's K2. K2 in your chart shows the choices that you've made in other lives that you've mastered. Okay, I tried it through controlling people and that didn't work. I tried it through spirituality, religion didn't give me what I wanted. I tried it through pure sensory stimulation and just being, totally engrossed in the physical pleasures of the flesh, and that didn't work. And then I got into realizing it was about fame, and that didn't work. And then I became an artist or a celebrity, and I thought that would do it, and that didn't work. And so when you go through all of the things that don't work, that don't give you access to your authentic soul experience, then at some point there's a life that you have where you don't have anything else left to do but authentically connect from your soul. And then when that happens, you, through practical experience, you learn how to manifest from your soul in a very limited and difficult environment. And when that happens, you become very powerful. And that knowledge and that experience is then transferred. And then when you leave this life, what people call, reaching enlightenment, you don't need to be incarnated anymore. When you get to that point and you go beyond, and you are then allowed to go back and remember that you are this infinite deity, you are now, 10,000 times more powerful than you were when you started. So all of you who complain and say, why is life so difficult? Why would we choose to come here? Because when you go back to being that deity essence that you are, that you've always been, you will be even more powerful than you are now, which means you will have more ability to intend, create, and experience. That's the point. That's why Earth was created. So the feeling again that Anunnaki, some powerful deities, came to Earth, took you and molded you, took you and turned you into a hybrid and then used you as a servant so that they could feed off of it. Can you see that that's a third dimensional projection of an actual truth? The truth isn't that there are evil Anunnakis who created you so they can feast off of your power. The truth is that you were the Anunnaki. You were the deity who came from another planet and chose to incarnate, and you turned yourself into a hybrid. You, in fact, had spent millions of years fine-tuning the one animal that we decided we would use, which was, the primates. That's why we have these ears. There's a lot of extraterrestrial beings that look almost exactly like us, but they don't have these monkey ears. This is because we fine-tuned. People talk about evolution and they badmouth it. Evolution is higher dimensional gods tinkering with the DNA of animals so that they can create beings they can live in, and they can experience consciousness and still have all the animal instincts. So there's the truth behind the belief that aliens implanted chakras in you to feast on you. No. You created these human beings, and you designed these things called chakras so that you would expand in consciousness. As a result of that, you gave your limited animal, primate bodies these abilities to go beyond the third dimension. You put these things in your monkey brain called the pineal gland, You gave yourself a third eye. You gave yourself the seven, there are more than that, the seven chakras. You gave yourself the three dantians, which are the three energy centers. You gave yourself all of the energy meridians. You put all of the physical and even, the non-physical aspects, the spiritual, energetic technology in your body, so that you would be a multi-dimensional being. That's why there are people who can choose to just be human, and then others spend time in meditation, doing yoga, doing qigong, and they awaken all of these things and they become multi-dimensional, but they're still human. You chose to do that. So yes, aliens implanted chakras into you, but it was you implanting chakras into the species that you were going to inhabit. And you are benefiting from that. You are getting power from the fact that aliens, you, put chakras in your body. But you see how it gets twisted in the third dimension? In the third dimension, there's this understanding, but nobody in the third dimension likes being limited. Nobody likes not having any power and feeling manipulated and controlled. But the person that's controlling you is your higher self. You're an experiment. There's a version of you in a higher dimension that's watching everything that's happening and is learning from all of the, just like when you're playing a video game, you're watching your character run around bumping into things and you're learning from their mistakes. But then ultimately the difference is you go back into your higher dimensional self and you become one with them. There's no feeling of being, used. You're grateful for what you've experienced. Okay? So you created the third dimension. You are a very powerful deity. And why was the Matrix created? It was created so that you would be able to learn by testing yourself in very challenging conditions. And this is why you are not what you appear to be. So let's look at the history again from something we've talked about before. Starseed history of Earth, the end of 3D Earth experiment, 5D Ascension event. Before Earth incarnation, starseeds are omnipotent deities from other galaxies and star systems. Starseeds sought ways to increase their consciousness and creative powers. Groups of starseeds proposed different lower dimensional planets as laboratories of consciousness. These groups discussed whether Earth should be immersive illusion or more like other planets. After much heated debate, it was decided that Earth should be as difficult as possible. You can blame me for that. I remember, I've been brought back to that, and I remember being one of the hardline sticklers that said, no, we have to make this as difficult as possible, and it has to be a real threat that we're going to get trapped, otherwise we won't learn anything. So you want to get mad at somebody, I guess you can get mad at me. I don't think I'm the only person that was involved in that, but I was one of the proponents of it. After much heated debate, it was decided that Earth should be as difficult as possible. Some of the starseeds who incarnated did become trapped in the 3D illusion, and Earth became corrupted. The Earth experiment continued, and many starseeds achieved tremendous power. Everything that can be learned on Earth has been learned, and now 3D Earth is being deleted. All starseeds currently on Earth are being awakened and activated for the final Ascension event. Starseeds are necessary for the Ascension event to be able to channel higher dimensional energy to Earth. I myself have been activated to assemble all of the starseeds who volunteered to channel higher dimensional energy to Earth to create the new 5D Earth. This is accomplished through group astral meditations. Now, everybody's got their own purpose. You have your own purpose. I know what mine is. And I've been activated. I've been awakened. The higher dimensional beings that have come to me over the past couple of years and have empowered me and upgraded me and tinkered with me and taken me places and taught me things and showed me things. The reason for that is so that I would have the awareness to do exactly what I'm going to be doing later today. We're going to be having a live guided interdimensional meditation. And what I've come to find out is that only human beings have the ability in their astral body to bring the Ascension event. So that's what we're going to do. That's our job. Everybody else has other jobs that they're going to do. There are going to be people who are going to be working from the political standpoint. There are going to be people like Dr. Greer who are going to be working to help, leaders of governments become aware of what's going on and to reveal what the dark force elites are doing. Everybody's got their own purpose. This is mine. And people who are attracted to my channel and attracted to my teaching very likely are starseeds who volunteered to be part of the group who's going to come together and do an extremely important thing. In fact, I don't think that the ascension will come without it, which is that we go in our astral bodies and we tap into our higher dimensional essence, and we send energy to Earth to help wake people up. And as a result of that, the Earth is going to split into, the Earth is going to split into, where is it? The Earth is going to split into 3 different frequencies. What we call 2D, which is a lower version of this one, a slightly different version of 3D, and then 5D. 5D is just a word. It just means a version of 3-dimensional Earth where we're so high in frequency that we're almost in another dimension. We're able to manifest our thoughts. We're able to live in perfect bodies, and it's basically heaven on earth. It's where the Babajis go, and where the immortals that through meditation shifted out of this realm, and they live in another realm, and sometimes they pop in and out. We're going to be like that. So those of you who have been called and are attracted to my channel, that's what you're here to do. Accept it, believe it, don't. I'm okay either way. I'm going to keep doing these meditations for as long as possible. So that's what we're going to be doing later on today. So that's it, my friends. The true history of planet Earth and why it's being deleted is that you created Earth because you were so powerful that there weren't any other planets or any other civilizations that had enough of a challenge for you to grow beyond where you were. You created a matrix where you had to forget, and you had to come and be as limited as possible, and there had to be a real threat that you were going to get trapped here, and there has to be real evil and real destruction and real pain. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to be truly authentic in your awareness and your choices. And now that has come to an end. And this 3rd dimensional school, it served a huge function, but now it's becoming a liability. So many people have gotten trapped, and there are, this is what the real archons are, which are human beings who have become so narcissistically devalued and devalue others and are so destructive, creating things like nuclear weapons and what they're doing now, which I won't even get into. It's become a liability, and it's a danger to the rest of the multiverse. So not only has everything that needs to be learned been learned, but now Earth, the 3D Earth, is becoming a liability, and it's a danger to everybody else, so it has to be deleted. And when that happens, again, as we've said, it's going to split into 3 different Earths. And if you are attracted to this, it means that you before you incarnated, you volunteered to be one of these, what 3-dimensional people will experience as we are going to be the higher dimensional beings. We are going to be the beings of light who will be guiding them and helping them to awaken. And then there will be that closest word we can use is hell, where the really resistant human beings who have become so trapped in the illusion that they are going to have to go to a very challenging place, so the pain gets bad enough that they choose to wake up. And when that happens, then that will be erased and everybody will shift up and there will be happiness and love. But first part of this is we are going to create a 5D Earth, and we have to create it. It's not going to be created for us. We have to create it. So now we have to awaken to our pre-Earth memories and our pre-Earth power so that we can intend exactly what this 5D Earth is going to be. And this is what we do during these live guided meditations when we send energy to Earth. It's good for you to know exactly what kind of fantasy Earth you want to create. All right, so there you go. And again, this isn't based on me reading any books, reading any scriptures. my understanding now when I read, scriptures, even if it's Vedic knowledge or whatever, is that that's as close as humans could get to the truth without leaving the third dimension. But now the third dimension is being deleted, so we're being shown the real truth, even behind the mythologies, behind the spirituality. All right, so that's a lot. I hope that was very educational. I'll see you guys later tonight. For me, it's about 5 hours from now. And again, if you want to help gain more power, then that is why we have the 90-day challenge. Go to thunderwizard.com, scroll around, and subscribe at whatever level you want, as long as it's above the free. That helps support the channel. And anyway, I'll go into all the details at some other point about all the stuff you can get. Go to the shop as well. If you don't want to subscribe but you want to support the channel, go to the shop and look for a teaching or a practice or a certification that you want. And if you don't want to do either of those things but you still want to support the channel, you can click on the $ and just contribute some money to the video here or to the live stream. Those are all very helpful, allows me to pay my bills and continue to do this work. But let's bring the new 5D so that we don't have to keep doing this money thing. I'm ready to be done with the whole money thing. So let's create a world where that doesn't exist. If you want to do that with me, show up later today for the live guided interdimensional meditation. And that's it. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for showing up. I love you all. Remember, you are the reason that the universe was brought into existence. All of creation was created for one purpose, and that is for your happiness. And everything and everybody in the universe worships you when you experience joy and fulfillment. So do everything in your power to bring yourself fulfillment, and you will be doing the most sacred thing any being could ever do. And when you do, I will bow down and worship you as the infinite being of light that you are. Thank you so much for showing up, and I'll see you guys in a few hours. Take care.